Welcome to the Madison Miller podcast. Tonight's guest is somebody that covers horse racing for the Daily Gallop and Horse Racing Nation, and that is Jeffrey Byrnes. How are you doing on this rainy Thursday evening?
Doing good, Madison. The rain just started, so that puts a little damper, but doing good overall.
Yeah, same here. Alrighty. Big news in the horse racing world broke yesterday. Bob Baffert, 2-year ban from Churchill Downs because of the second failed drug test of his horse that won the Kentucky Derby, Medina Spirit. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's fair. I think it's absolutely fair. I think Churchill Downs does the right thing here. This is the Medina Spirit, the split sample that Bob Baffert requested after the news of the first failed drug test. Baffert requested a split sample, and that split sample has confirmed that he did test positive for the substance betamethasone, which is banned in Kentucky and not allowed at Churchill Downs. So I think it's fair. I think this is the fact that Churchill is coming down hard on Bob Baffert because they put out a statement yesterday saying that this is not the first time that Bob Baffert has tested positive. One of his horses has tested positive in a major race in Kentucky. He's also had a couple other failures in states like Arkansas and California, especially over the last year or so. And I think in the statement they put out, one of the most damning lines they put out was because of the failures over the last year, and especially the increasingly extraordinary explanations. Basically, he's been going around whether it's on television or social media and just giving just wild stories about, he's changing his stories every single day about what happened. It's getting ridiculous, honestly. That's just my opinion, but I think the suspension is fair. If he didn't want to put himself in the situation in the first place, he should have told the truth from the beginning, and I think it's fair. Honestly, he's also banned from the New York Racing Association, so Belmont, Saratoga, Aqueduct, he can't run up there indefinitely. And it won't surprise me if, once the official investigation comes to a conclusion, if New York follows that same suit as Churchill Downs did.
Yeah, we'll see about that. And news just broke moments ago. I see it here on the News 12 New Jersey that Baffert's allowed back at Monmouth, which I think is very interesting. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's not a right move. Not the right move at all. Monmouth Park hasn't exactly had the greatest track record when it comes to trainers. They've had some controversial trainers over the years, and I understand Bob Baffert's a big trainer, but read the room, Monmouth. I mean, it's not the right moment to be allowing him to come back, especially if on a day like possibly the Haskell, which is basically the only day he shows up at Monmouth Park in the first place. So I don't think it's the right move by Monmouth. I think it's a bad look all around for the track. I mean, it's almost just like the situation at Pimlico a couple weeks ago where they did allow him to run on the track. It didn't exactly get great publicity. The horses that he actually ran that day didn't exactly run that great, but yeah, I think it's a bad move on Monmouth Park's part.
I agree with you. I think that Monmouth should have followed suit with the New York tracks, but I guess not. That really did surprise me when I saw that on the news earlier, about like a half an hour ago. I wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay, let's go to the Belmont, which is on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to this one. We're going to do what we always do, go through the horses and talk about them and go through the odds and whatnot. So the number one horse, so the post horse number one is Bourbonic, 13th place in the Kentucky Derby, 15-1 odds. Todd Pletcher's horse. What are your thoughts on Bourbonic?
Bourbonic is the first of three for trainer Todd Pletcher. This is kind of a bad luck for Bourbonic. He goes from post 20 in the Kentucky Derby to post 1 in the Belmont, which is never a good thing. So kind of bad luck for him, but 13th place in the Derby. He's not going to be among the pace backers, that's for sure, in the Belmont, unless they pull a surprise out of us and decide to set him early. But he'll be among the horses running around in the back early on here. He'll definitely be among the long shots in this field. Unless he gets a pretty swift pace in front of him, I think the odds are going to be up against him. He's a nice horse. Obviously, he won the Whip Memorial despite being at big odds. I think he does belong in this race. It's going to be once he gets a nice pace in front of him, he gets a good trip, it gets off the rail. It's going to be tough for him on Saturday.
Yeah, I like Bourbonic. I'm surprised that he's 15-1, but like you said, bad luck with him being in the one post for this race and then the 20 in the Derby. All right, number 2, Essential Quality. Brad Cox is the trainer. Fourth place in the Derby. He is 2-1. He looks like he's the favorite at the moment. What are your thoughts on Essential Quality's chances here?
Essential Quality, yes, is obviously the reigning 2-year-old champion. He was fourth in the Kentucky Derby. I believe he will be favored at post time because he does have the best crashers coming into this field. The Derby was his first loss. I thought he actually ran a pretty good race in the Derby. He was really wide the whole way. Despite that, he was still coming on towards the end. It was actually getting closer and closer. And despite the wide trip, I still think he got a lot of respect out of that race. He's coming into this race off a couple of really sharp workouts at Churchill Downs. 5 furlongs at 59, very, very fast. So Luis Saez aboard. He's going to be a very tough customer. I can see him from the inside. He's going to have the speed horses are to the outside of him. So it wouldn't surprise me if trainer Brad Cox, Luis Saez come up with a plan, decide to either send him up front early on, which is something he really hasn't done in his career, or pretty much been a lot closer to the pace than he usually is. He's more of a mid-pack closer type of horse, but with a race like this going 1.5 miles, I think he has to be much closer to the pace, work out a good trip from the inside, but certainly I think he has the pedigree to get the 1.5 miles. He's sired by a horse named Tappet, who has sired 3 Belmont Stakes winners, so I don't think distance should be any problems. The question is, of course, I think is it going to be good enough? Can he work out a trip from the inside? If he can, I think he's very dangerous in here.
Yeah, I like Essential Quality a lot, and I think he has a real shot. The 3 horse is Rombauer, your Preakness winner, 3-1, so the second best odds on the board in terms of favorites. The jockey is John Velasquez. The trainer here is Michael McCarthy. What are your thoughts on Rombauer's chances to win another big race?
I think Rombauer has a very good chance of winning this race. His Preakness victory was a bit of a surprising race. Obviously, before that he was third in the Bluegrass. Kind of a lackluster, even though it was a speed favorite track that day. But he worked out a great trip from the outside post and from the outside of the Preakness. He worked his way up through the field and really had a great run coming off the turn and pulled away with authority. So really, really impressive race by Rombauer, by far the best of his career. He shipped to Belmont Park actually just a couple of days after his win at Pimlico, and he has looked really, really good over the track. He ran a time workout last week, 50 flat, going 4 furlongs. Looked very nice, very smooth. Trainer Michael McCarthy has really liked the way he's working over the track. It's really interesting, though, but Flavian Pratt, who rode John Velasquez, who rode Rombauer in the Preakness, actually is going to be riding Hot Rod Charlie in the Belmont Stakes. So now John Velasquez will be aboard Rombauer, which is not a bad pickup. Obviously, he has won a couple derbies over the last few years. So Rombauer will probably be around mid-pack again. He'll have to get a good pace in front of him, but if he can pull the same turn of foot that he showed in the Preakness, I think he absolutely has a big chance here.
Yeah, you just mentioned Hot Rod Charlie. He's the 4 horse. Doug O'Neill's the trainer. 3rd place in the Derby. 7-2 on the morning line. Tell us your thoughts about Hot Rod Charlie.
This is another horse in here who, among the front runners, he ran a very good race in the Kentucky Derby. I think it was about mid-pack throughout much of the race, and he closed up to finish 3rd, only beating about 3/4 of a length. And he came out of the race really well. He shipped back to California and has been working up over there. The clockers, all the trainers have been very impressive with Charlie. So I think this horse is coming in very, very good form. He's looked really well over the Belmont track since he arrived a few days ago. As I said, Flavian Pratt is going to be aboard. I think he's going to be a very good jockey to be aboard. He knows his way around Belmont Park. Hot Rod Charlie should be among the pace setters. He did go wire to wire in the Louisiana Derby a few months ago. It's a little surprising he wasn't much closer to the pace in the Derby, but now considering he's got a smaller field and he's got a good post, about mid-post, if he gets a clean break, it would not surprise me if he's either on the lead or sitting about second right off the pace for about much of the way. If he can get a good trip and get first run off the turn, he might be the one to catch.
Yeah, I really like Hot Rod Charlie's chances. All right, the 5 horse is Francisco de la Ina. Hideki Mori is the trainer. 7th in the Preakness, one of the longer shots on the board, 30-1. What are your thoughts about this horse?
Well, this one is, I told you a couple weeks ago, it's kind of a little confusing horse because he comes over for Japan, but his connections have stated all along that the Preakness Stakes was going to be used more as a prep for the Belmont Stakes, and in the Preakness Stakes, he broke sharp from the gate. He was about last early on, but then moved up very quickly up along the backstretch, and then faded badly in the stretch. So wasn't exactly the greatest of runs, but came out of the race well. He seems to be getting over the Belmont track well, but I don't know if he can turn that form around 3 weeks later pretty quickly. So he's going to have to run a monster race if he's going to win on Saturday. I'll be very surprised if he wins.
Me too. I would be very surprised if he wins. This is a good horse. Number 6, Known Agenda, another Todd Pletcher horse. Disappointing 9th in the Derby, 6-1 to win this one. What are your thoughts on Known Agenda?
I like this horse a lot. Obviously, he finished 9th in the Derby. I think he drew the rail in the Kentucky Derby, and I think that absolutely hurt his chances. He did not get a great trip from the inside. He was blocked. He just threw the book at him. He did not have the best of trips that day. And everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. He still managed to close and finish 9th. I mean, honestly, it was actually a pretty decent 9th, which I all things considered, considering the trip he had. But trainer Todd Pletcher, he's done this before with the Kentucky Derby runners, setting up in the Kentucky Derby to the Belmont Stakes. This horse, I think, is probably one of the best bred horses to go the 1.5 miles, sired by Curlin, who sired Palace Malice, the 2013 Belmont Stakes winner. Todd Pletcher has said all along he thinks this horse is best suited for the Belmont Stakes, and his running style and the way that he's closes on other horses indicates that he should be just fine going this distance. The one negative, though, actually, kind of breaking news, is that his jockey, Irad Ortiz, unfortunately went down earlier today and had to be taken off on the stretcher, so hopefully he's okay. But if he can't ride on Saturday, they're going to have to find a new rider, and that could seriously complicate the strategy that Todd Pletcher was originally planning with Known Agenda. So certainly something to watch, but either way, I think Known Agenda with a good pace in front of him, hopefully he doesn't get a very slow pace. If he doesn't, I think he'll absolutely be coming at the end.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there as well with the driver. I hope he'll be okay. 7th, Rock Your World. This is a decent horse. John Sadler is the trainer. 17th in the Derby. That's very disappointing for that horse. 9-2 odds to win the Belmont. What are your thoughts on Rock Your World?
Well, Rock Your World was my pick in the Kentucky Derby, so I was very disappointed with that. But he had a nightmare trip. He stumbled at the start. Jockey Joel Rosario, who was aboard, actually didn't even have his foot in the saddle when he came out of the gate, so that just completely changed everything. And it was just a nightmare trip all around. Lost all chance at the start. The plan was originally to send him up and be with the leaders, or even be up front, but that stumble and he just every chance he could. So after the race, next week, he took him back to Santa Anita, and he has been working really well. He fired a 58 flat bullet workout at Santa Anita last week, indicating he's very fresh, he's very ready to go. This horse's pedigree, another one that really screams 1.5 miles. By Candy Rye, Candy Rye, who has sired multiple winners going about 1.5 miles in his career. His dam sire is a horse named Empire Maker, who was the 2003 Belmont Stakes winner. So, pedigree-wise, he should have no problem going 1.5 miles. Question is, from the outside post, can he get good position? And if he gets away from the gate well, I expect him to be up front. I expect him to be a leader or among the pace setters early on. If he can get to the front and he can set slow fractions early on, I definitely think he'll be turning for home in front and he'll be the one to catch. I think he's good enough to win this race if that happens.
Yeah, I think he's good enough to win this race, too. This is a really, really stacked field, in my opinion. And the last horse is the third of the Todd Pletcher horses. Overtook, finished third in the Peter Pan Stakes. He's the second longest shot on the board at 20-1. What are your thoughts on this horse, who has not raced in any of the other two major races?
Yeah, Overtook is the newcomer to the Triple Crown Series. Certainly another one that absolutely screams a mile and a half. Another horse sired by Curlin, as I mentioned, with the sire of Palace Mouse, the Belmont Stakes winner in 2013. His dam sire was a horse named AP Indy, who was the 1992 Belmont Stakes winner. So you got distance pedigree all around. He absolutely should love this mile and a half distance. He's 20-1 on the morning line, but it won't surprise me he's a little lower than that. I think he's actually worth a price play here. I think he's going to be among the horses that are around last early on here, so he'll be closing from the back. And his race of the Wither Stakes, 2 races back, he was last early on, made a move around the turn. He just climbed down and missed, finishing second. His race in the Peter Pan Stakes a month ago, it looked like he was going to be beaten pretty good, but around the end, he started coming on towards around the end and actually galloped out pretty well after finishing third. So I think this horse definitely, if he can get the right trip, if he can get the right pace, he's a pretty live long shot in my opinion. I don't know if he's going to be good enough to win, but certainly I think he'll definitely be a horse to play in the exotics in the top 4.
Yeah, I won't be shocked if he sneaks in to the exacta picture. All right, let's do what we always do. Win, place, and show. Give me your win pick.
For my win pick, I'm going to go with Known Agenda, number 6. Obviously, the news about Irad Ortiz Jr., hopefully he's going to be okay and could be aboard come Saturday. But I think this horse he's absolutely bred to go a mile and a half. I think he's going to get a good pace in front of him. I think he has the talent to do it. I think Todd Pletcher, he's been in this situation before. Certainly, I think he's going to be he's definitely among the most talented horses in the field. Dismissed. I think you should throw out that Kentucky Derby run. He had a really tough trip. A shorter field, 6-1 odds. I definitely think he's a win contender.
Yeah, I think he's a win contender too, but the news on the jockey makes me a little nervous. I'm going to go with Rombauer to win his second of the third Triple Crown race this year. I like Rombauer a lot. Really impressive at the Preakness. I think he's going to do it again. Give me your place pick.
My place pick, I'm going to go with number 7, Rock Your World. I think if he gets a clean break from the gate, if he can get to the front early on and set slow fractions early, he's going to be around at the end. Joel Rosario was aboard him. He knows what to do. I think he's definitely going to be a player in here. So if he can get to the front, set the slow fractions, he'll be there at the end.
I'm going to go with Hot Rod Charlie as my place pick. I like how he raced in the Derby. I just like the horse a lot. I know somebody good is going to have to finish in 4th or 5th, and that horse could very well be Rock Your World. So I'm going to go Hot Rod Charlie in the play spot. And Jeff, give me your show pick.
My show pick will be number 3, Rombauer. I think he definitely has another good run in him. My biggest concern is I don't know if he's quite capable of handling the mile and a half distance. His sire, Twirling Candy, isn't really known for being a stamina type stallion, but I love the way he finished in the Preakness. I love the way that he's coming into this training. I certainly think he has another good run in him. The question's going to be, is he good enough after a quick turnaround? So I'm going to go Rombauer to finish third.
My third place finish, I'm going to go with Essential Quality, who's the favorite right now. I think this is a little bit of a bounce back spot for Essential Quality. Well, bounce back in terms of finishing in the top 3. He finished 4th in the Derby, and he was one of the big favorites in the Derby. I think that Essential Quality finishes in 3rd. Okay, so after the Belmont, what's next for horse racing?
Other than the Belmont Stakes, there's actually a really good undercard to lead into the Belmont Stakes. Race 10, the race before the Belmont Stakes, is the Grade 1 Manhattan Stakes. Features a rematch between Domestic Spending and Colonel Liam, who both finished in a dead heat for the win in the Turf Classic Stakes on the Kentucky Derby undercard. probably the most exciting race of the day. So that's one race I'm definitely looking forward to. You also have the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap featuring Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner Nick Sco from last year, along with Mischievous Alex, an up-and-coming horse going the mile distance. So just a lot of Grade 1 races. I believe 8 Grade 1 races on the Belmont undercard. So it's a very exciting card coming up on Saturday. As far as what happens next, there's a lot of races going to be coming up during the summer months. So, of course, the Haskell at Monmouth Park, the Travers for the 3-year-olds, and we'll be getting ready for the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, that's right. You have the Haskell coming up in July, probably the end of July, and then the Breeders in the fall. So that is something that I'm looking forward to, and obviously I'll have you on before all that comes about. Before we go quickly, let's talk a little basketball. The New York Knicks season came to a close last night after they lost in 5 games against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks were just simply the more talented team, in my opinion. Julius Randle did not look like the same player. What do you think is next for the Knicks, and what were your thoughts on the series in general?
Yeah, for the Knicks, it was pretty disappointing to see what the Knicks do. I thought that series would go 6 or even 7. Certainly Julius Randle didn't have the best of series. It looked like Atlanta did a good job on defense to hold him down. He did kind of play better as the series went along, but still it wasn't anywhere near what he was in the regular season. So, Julius Randle had a great season, but in my opinion, I don't think he's a true number 1 on the team. He's probably like a 2 or 3 at best. So, if the Knicks want to be like true contenders again for a championship, they have to go out and get a number 1, whether that's free agency or whether that's making a trade. I know Kawhi Leonard's going to be a free agent this summer. I don't know if what he was thinking about coming to New York. If they want to get crazy, maybe try to trade for Damian Lillard. But I don't know. But again, that's crazy talks. But anyway, the Knicks, they're going to have to go out and make some kind of moves to get a true number 1 player, especially with the team they have, because they do have a lot of talent on that team. And if they want to get back to NBA championship contenders, they need a true number 1 player on that roster.
Oh, I agree with you. And another one I wouldn't rule out is Donovan Mitchell to me. Obviously, there's drama with him and Rudy Gobert before the bubble and the whole COVID thing. And then he missed Game 1, and he said he wanted to play in Game 1, but the Jazz wouldn't let him, and then the Jazz proceeded to lose Game 1, although they won that series. So I think Donovan Mitchell's a dark horse potential trade name, and the other one to keep an eye on, in my opinion, is Bradley Beal. And then somebody to me mentioned Russell Westbrook, but I don't think that the Wizards would trade him. I think the more likely Wizard to be traded is Bradley Beal. Let's talk about your team now, the Brooklyn Nets. They're facing the Bucks in round 2. Obviously, your team beat the Celtics in 5, and then the Celtics proceeded to make all those crazy front office and head coaching changes. And then obviously the Bucks coming off the impressive sweep over Miami. What are your thoughts on the Nets and the challenge they have ahead of them with the Bucks?
Well, the Nets very impressively took care of business against Boston. The big 3 showed up in a big way. Kevin Durant was his usual self. James Harden, Kyrie Irving played great. The Nets bench, the role players all played well. So, this series against Boston was very good. But now comes the real tests are going to come now. Milwaukee, of course, with Giannis, Chris Middleton, that's going to be a tough matchup. I think Brooklyn's going to have to do a better job on defense. They're going to have to try to get Giannis uncomfortable, trying to make Chris Middleton uncomfortable. But should be a very physical series. I won't be surprised if that series goes 6 or 7. And Brooklyn's going to have to show up big time in that series.
I agree with you. I think that Brooklyn's in for a challenge. I obviously would not be surprised if either team won. I think this has 7 written all over it. I think to me the key of the series is Drew Holiday, somebody that you didn't mention. If he plays up to capability on both sides of the floor, if he can shut down Kyrie, I think the Bucks have a real shot here. But I don't know if they're able to overcome Harden and Durant and their scoring and playmaking ability, and then Kyrie's ability of getting hot at any moment. So I don't know who to pick. I'll probably announce it on the podcast and on Twitter when the time comes. Quickly before we go, Yankees, they split with the Rays just this week. kind of a slide after what was a really nice run to get within a couple games of first, and now the Red Sox coming to town this weekend. To me, it's just been very, very up and down. Give me your thoughts on the Yankees right now, and of course, a ton of injuries as well.
Yeah, up and down. Kind of playing it nicely. The series in Detroit was an absolute disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, let's just start there. That was just awful. The Yankees couldn't score a run if their life depended on it. I mean, luckily they did take 2 out of 4. They split the series with the Rays, so that's good. But yeah, the bats are going to have to wake up eventually. I mean, they can't keep scoring 1, 2, 3 runs a game and expect their pitching to just go out and dominate. But yeah, the Yankees, their bats eventually going to have to come alive. I mean, Luke Voigt going down with injury again, that stinks. And then Corey Kluber got hurt last week, too, which is another blow to the Yankee rotation. So they got their work cut out for them. And there's going to be players that are going to have to step up on that roster. I mean, Aaron Judge's been playing well. Gio Urshela's been playing well. Stan just got off the IL. I think he'll come back around eventually. But Clint Frazier started hitting well during this Rays series, so yeah, there's going to have to be players that step up, and so we can get back on track here.
Yeah, they got to get back on track here. And then thoughts on the Mets real quick.
The AAA Mets? Yeah, they're...
That's right there.
I mean, it seems like every time somebody goes out with injury, they just keep winning. So whatever they're doing over there, it seems to be working. But, Jacob deGrom came back. He's still pitching well. Marcus Stroman pitching well. Pete Alonso came back. I think he had a home run and another couple of hits the other day. So, Mets just keep on winning. And they have about, a 4-game lead in the NL East right now. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good for a AAA team. But, hey, I mean, they're doing well, and guess they'll keep rolling.
Yeah, you're right. You said it best with the Mets. Guys are just getting hurt left and right, and they're still winning. That's credit to Luis Rojas. I think he's done a tremendous job this year with the Mets.
Definitely.
He has to be played for Manager of the Year, in my opinion, if the Mets still keep going, especially if they win that division. That division's actually really good, although so many teams in that division have underachieved, like Washington and Atlanta. All right, Jeff, it was such a pleasure to have you on today, and obviously we'll have you back on during the summer when the Haskell comes around.
All right, sounds good, Madison. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Have a great night.